His divine grace, AC Bhaktivinoda Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtotara Shatashi Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Ananda Gori Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prabhu Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Shri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan ki jai. Navadip Mayapur Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Tulasi Devi ki jai. Yamunavati ki jai. Gangavai ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All voices of the Lord ki jai. All voices of the Lord ki jai. All voices of the Lord ki jai. All voices Shri Shri Guru Gauranga. All voices Shri Gauranga.
Namaste Narsimhaya Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Someone leaving their laundry everywhere around here. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Let's see here. Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Did we leave off chapter 8?
I can't remember.
Can't remember. Prabhu, what would I do with you? Expect me to remember? I think we're on verse 16. Chapter 8, verse 16, does that sound right?
I can't. I don't know.
Being supreme. That's where at least I have it marked at. But every now and then someone changes my marking. Come in and it's like, wait a second, we're not together the Bhagavad Gita yet. We're not at the beginning. Who keeps changing my marking?
Yeah, I think we left off on 16, so we're on 17 today.
Okay. Bhagavad Gita class. Start with the introduction prayer, page 1. Om Ajanya Tramandasya Dhyana Shalakya Shakramita Mina Tasme Shikrive Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sapitam Yena Putale Swayam Gurupakara Mahyam Dahati Swapatikam Vandeham Shri Guru Sri Yutabhaya Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavascha Shri Rupa Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunana Pita Tamsa Devam Savetam Savabhutam Prajana Sahita Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishtas Karunatam Cha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dino Bando Vidagapate
Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostite Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Ramani Hare Priye
Kapatarupe Sacha Kripa Sindhu Evascha Patitanam Pavaparyo Vaishnaparyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Veta Gadhar Shri Vasti Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we're on chapter 8, Attaining the Supreme. Looks like we're starting at text 17 today. We're going to do 11 verses, Sanskrit translation, and the purports. That way we hear the entire Bhagavad Gita in 3 months' time. Hare Krishna, we have some guests. Please join us for the Bhagavad Gita class. Would you like to get them some books? We'll get you a couple Bhagavad Gitas to follow along with the class if you like. always nice to have guests. So we're on chapter 8. Yes? Okay. If you want to take Darshan real quick, because the curtains are going to be closing here in a few minutes. Yeah, he'll set you up with the table and the books here. So text 17. Saharasya Yuga Paryatam Aharya Paramano Vidyo Ratrim Yuga Sahasrantam Tehot Ratra Vito Jana. Translation. By human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together is the duration of Brahman's one day, and such also is the duration of his night. Text 18. Avyatkattaravyataya sarvaha pravatnati aha agami ratri agami praliyantati tatraivayakta samyate. Translation. When Brahma's day is manifest, this multitude of living entity comes into being, and at the arrival of Brahma's night, they are all annihilated. Text 19. Bhuta garma sa eva yam, bhutva bhutva praliyate, ratriya agame vasya parta, pravate arha agame. Translation. Again and again, the day comes and this host of beings is active, and again the night falls, O Pritha, and they are helplessly dissolved. We are on page 430 right now. Oh, those are different? It's chapter 8, verse 20. Parastasmatu bhavonyayo vikyato vikyati sanata yasa sarvesha bhuteshu nashyatsu nat vishyate. Translation. Yet there's another nature which is internal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. Text 21. Amyakto krishna ito yuktas tamahu paramam gatim yam prapya na nirvatate tadama paramam mama. Translation. The supreme abode is called unmanifested, infallible, and is the supreme destination. When one goes there, he never comes back. That is my supreme abode. Text 22. Purusha sapara parta pakya lapyasta anyaya yastanta shinti bhutani yena sarvam idatatam. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is greater than all, is attainable by an unalloyed devotion. Although he is present in his abode, he is all-pervading and everything is situated in him. Text 23. Yatra kale tva anavetritam avitritam chaiva yoginaha prayatata yanti tam kalam vakshyami bharatat urshapa. Translation. O best of the Bharatas, I shall now explain to you the different times at which passing away from this world one does not come back. Text 24. Agniryatu aha shukla samasa uttara yamanam tatra paryata gachanti Brahma Brahma Vido Jana. Translation: those who know the Supreme Brahma pass away from the world during the influence of the fiery god in the light and at an auspicious moment during the fortnight of the moon and the 6 months when the sun travels in the north. Text 25. Dumo Ratris Tata Krishna Samasa Dakshinayam Tatra Chantarmasam Yatur Yogi Paptya Nitvate. Translation: mystic who passes away from this world during the smoke, the night, the moonless fortnight, or the 6 months when the sun passes to the south, or who reaches the moon planet, again comes back. Text 26. Shukla Krishna Gate Ete Jagata Sarvate Mate Ikyayat Yate Inavatim Anyat Yavate Punaha. Translation: according to the Vedas, there are two ways of passing from this world, one in light and one in darkness. When one passes in light, he does not come back, but when one passes in darkness, he returns. Text 27. Niyate Sriti Pratajanan Yogi Muyate Kashchana Tasmat Sarveshu Kalashu Yoga Yukto Bhavarjuna. Translation: the devotees who know these two paths, O Arjuna, are never bewildered. Therefore, be always fixed in devotion. Final text for tonight is text 28, and I think that's actually the final text of the chapter, so we're starting a new chapter tomorrow. Vedusha yagyeshu tapashu chaiva daneshu yat puna palam padishtam ayate tat sarvas idam vidyatva yogi param satam upati chadyam. Translation: a person who accepts the passive devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing austere sacrifices, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. At the end, he reaches the supreme abode. Returning to text 17. Text 17. Translation: by human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together is the duration of Brahman's one day, and also is the duration of his night. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The duration of the material universe is limited. It is manifested in the cycles of kalpas. A kalpas is a day of Brahma, and one day of Brahma consists of 1,000 cycles of 4 yugas, or ages: Satya, Treta, Dwapara, Kali. The cycles of Satya is characterized by virtue, wisdom, and religion, there being practically no ignorance and vice. And Yuga lasts 1,728,000 years. In the Treta Yuga, vice is introduced, and Yuga lasts 1,296,000 years. In the Dwapara Yuga, there is even greater decline in virtue and religion, vice increasing, and Yuga lasts 864,000 years. And finally, in Kali Yuga we have now been experiencing for the past 5,000 years, there is abundance of strife, ignorance, irreligion, and vice. True virtue being practically non-existent, and this yuga lasts 432,000 years. In Kali Yuga, vice increases to such a point that at termination of the yuga, the Supreme Lord himself appears as Kalki avatar, vanquishes the demons, saves his devotees, and commences another Satya Yuga. Then the process is set rolling again. These 4 yugas, rotating 1,000 times, comprise one day of Brahma, the creator god, in the same number comprise one night. Brahma lives 100 of such years, and then dies. These 100 years by Earth calculation total is 311 trillion and 40 million Earth years. By these calculations, the life of Brahma seems fantastic and interminable, but from the viewpoint of eternity, it is as brief as a lightning flash. In the casual ocean, there are innumerable Brahmas rising and disappearing like bubbles in the Atlantic. Gonitai ki jai. Brahma and his creation are all part of the material universe, and therefore they are in constant flux. In the material universe, not even Brahma is free from the process of birth, old age, disease, and death. Brahma, however, is directly engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord in the management of the universe. Therefore, he at once attains liberation. Elevated sannyasis are promoted to Brahma's particular planet, Brahmaloka, which is the highest planet in the material universe, and which survives all the heavenly planets and the upper Satra in the planetary system. But in due course, Brahma and all the inhabitants of Brahmaloka are subject to death, according to the law of material nature. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram Ram. Oh, man, that's a long time. But in Brahma's eyes, in way the way he sees it, it's pretty much like just about as long as a human life. We're experiencing our lifetime, in roughly about 100, 120 years. We die, most of us die earlier than that. But funny thing about the time that we live is when you're young, it seems like things take forever. You're growing up, you're trying to get through school, it seems to take forever. Oh, Christmas is coming around. Man, it just takes forever for Christmas to come. Oh, my birthday's coming around. It seems to take forever. But as you get older, oh man, as you get older, time just seems to start speeding up and flying by. I imagine what's could be like for Brahma, as he's going through his cycles of birth and death. I mean, his life is extremely long, but in a sense, he has the same concept of time as we do as humans. We at first it seems like it takes forever, but as you get older, you're like, whoa, wait a second, what happened in my 20s? Huh, it went so quickly. I'm over 30 now. Oh, wait a second. My 30s are gone. What just happened? I just rolled over a couple times and went to work, and now I'm 40. Oh gosh. I'm 49 now. Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. Time is just going so fast. Can anything slow down? But that's life. You can't buy a single moment of time back. That's why it's so important, especially in this day of Kali Yuga. We're in such a fallen time, such a degraded time. And the only way out of this, the only way back to Godhead is through the chanting the Maha Mantra, this bhakti yoga system that we have. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Such a beautiful system. And it's our way out. Because we've been chained to this place. We've been through the other yugas. We've had millions of lifetimes already. The only reason that we're sitting here in this temple room is because we've had millions of lifetimes. We're at this realizations like, oh man, this material world, I don't think I want to stick around much longer. You know, chasing after the sense enjoyment, this empty happiness. I want to go back home to Godhead. I want to go back to Krishna. I want something fulfilling, not just this empty happiness. The Kali Yuga, as it progresses, the worse it gets. And we're still at the very beginning of Kali Yuga. We're only 5,000 years into it. We still got, oh my gosh. Ooh. Oh, another 400,000, 27,000 years to go. Man, can you imagine how bad it's going to get? It's already pretty bad now, but man, as it progresses, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. I don't know if I want to be reborn later in Kali Yuga. Do you want to be reborn later in Kali Yuga? I don't think I would want to come back. I don't want to see the consequences of that. Because eventually it'd be like, human eating human. The parents are eating their children. It would be so bad. It's already pretty bad now. We got everything contaminated. The water's contaminated, the soil's contaminated, the air's contaminated. Everything's becoming contaminated in this day and age. It's sad. So much diseases they're flowing around in the world. So many health crises. And no one can, everyone's, chasing after happiness and they just can't seem to grab it. Move on to text 18. When Brahma's day is manifest, this multitude of living entities comes into being, and at the arrival of Brahma's night, they are all annihilated. Purport. The less intelligent jivas try to remain within the material world and are accordingly elevated and degraded in the various planetary systems. During the daytime of Brahma, they exhibit their activities, and at the coming of Brahma's night, they are annihilated. In the day, they receive various bodies for material activities, and at night, these bodies perish. The jivas, individual souls, remain in compact in the body of Vishnu, and again are manifested at the arrival of Brahma's day. When Brahma's life is finally finished, they are all annihilated and remain unmanifested for millions and millions of years. Finally, when Brahma is born again in another millennium, they are again manifest. In this way, the jivas are captured by the material world. However, those intelligent beings who take to Krishna consciousness and chant Hare Krishna, Hare Rama in devotional service transfer themselves, even in this life, to the spiritual planet of Krishna, become eternally blissful there, not being subject to such rebirths. So yeah, can you imagine waiting millions of years, to be manifested again? I wonder what that must be like. I wonder if you can even be aware of that. During that time, the millions of years when after Brahma dies and after everything's annihilated. That must be trippy, just existing but not existing. But that's the thing with karma, this birth and death cycle. It's reincarnation, birth and death cycle. It's hard to say, how we go to come back. If you do externally good things in life and have extremely good karma, you might be able to tame one of the heavenly planets. You might be able to go, to Brahma Loka. But that's just temporary. That's just a reward being paid. You're still in the prison cell. You're still in the prison here. This material world is our prison. You know, if you do really bad deeds, yes.
Sure, yeah.
The Mirage has a comment.
Okay, yeah.
Let me hear from Mirage. This is the Gabriel Swami, Sannyasi that resides here.
Hare Krishna. Listen to that. Do you have the green light? Green light. Hare Krishna. Can you hear?
We're going to turn you up a little bit.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so on the topic of the living entities who don't become qualified to go back to the spiritual world by the time of Brahma's lifetime is completed, they go back into the body of Mahavishnu and remain not destroyed, but unmanifest. They're annihilated, their bodies are annihilated, but they, the souls, continue to live. So someone might say, well, that sounds like certain philosophies today we have that become void, or you give up your individuality and you merge into the whole, or you just annihilate everything, full annihilation. But no, because actually Brahma and the other living entities, they're continuing their lifetimes on the material planets. And also in the spiritual world, where most of the souls, the jiva souls, reside, that never closes down. That continues to go on. It's not affected by Brahma's nighttime because it's transcendental. The Lord's abode is transcendental. So somebody might say, well, what's the harm if I'm not awake during that time? It doesn't sound like I would lose very much. But no, we would lose a lot because we would lose so much time. A day of Brahma, we heard the calculation, 1,000 ages taken together is Brahma one day. So that's like 4 billion, 600 million, something like that. So that time would be wasted. We wouldn't be doing anything beneficial for us, for ourselves, or for anyone else, or even for the Lord. So better we become Krishna conscious, and then we don't have to waste so much time. It's like we may have experienced, some of you may have, sometimes on a weekend, after staying out late or doing something very strenuous the night before, one may want to sleep in on the weekend. But if he goes to sleep and he gets up at 4 in the afternoon, he feels terrible. He says, I wasted so much time now, the whole day's gone. Even he feels that he wasted some valuable time. What to speak of if we waste the whole nighttime of Brahma and things like that. So better that we put in our Krishna consciousness, and it's not so difficult. The guidelines are not so difficult to reach Krishna consciousness in one lifetime. Lord Chaitanya's made it easy. And then we can, instead of wasting so much time, we can engage in devotional service more and please ourselves, do the best thing for ourselves, do the best thing for other living entities, and also be of some service to Krishna. Thank you.
There's also was saying that depending on our karma, we can go to different planetary systems. You know, if you have good enough karma, you go to the higher planetary systems. You know, experience heavenly pleasures for a period of time, but eventually you fall back down to human form again to serve out your time again. And if you've been really bad, you end up in some really hellish worlds, be reborn into some really hellish worlds. You don't really want to go there. Oh boy, be really bad, you know. And the whole thing is that's why we in devotional service we're aspiring for zero karma. We don't want any karma. Devotional service, we're trying to purify our karma. Through chanting the Maha Mantra, singing the deities, singing kirtan to the deities, performing devotional service. All these things are purifying our good karma and our bad karma because we want to get down to zero karma because karma is what binds us to this material world. So, you know, we leave those, you know, people who want to go to different planets and experience the material joys. Yeah, they can do that. But, you know, Krishna consciousness, bhakti yoga, if you want out of this cycle of birth and death and this suffering, bhakti yoga is the way to go. Next text 19. Translation. And again, the day comes, and this host of beings is active. And again, the night falls, O Partha, and they are helplessly dissolved. Text 20. Translation. Yet there's another nature which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested, unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, the part remains as it is. Report. Krishna's superior spiritual nature is transcendental and eternal. It is beyond all the changes of material nature, which is manifested and annihilated during the days and nights of Brahma. Krishna's superior energy is completely opposite in quality to material nature. Superior and inferior nature are explained in the 7th chapter. Text 21. Translation. The supreme abode is called unmanifested and infallible and is the supreme destination. When one goes there, he never comes back. That is the supreme abode. Purport. Supreme abode of personality Godhead Krishna is described in the Brahma Samhita as Chintamani Dhamma, a place where all desires are fulfilled. The supreme abode of Lord Krishna, known as Goloka, Vrindavan, is full of palaces made of touchstone. There are also trees which are called desire trees. They supply any type of eatable upon demand, and there are cows known as Charabi cows, which supply a limited supply of milk. In this abode, the Lord is served by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune, Lakshmis, and he is called Govinda, the primeval Lord and the cause of all causes. The Lord is accustomed to blow his flute, Vinum, Pivanatam. The transcendental form is the most attractive in all the worlds. His eyes are like the lotus petals, and the color of his body like clouds. He is so attractive that his beauty excels that of thousands of cupids. He wears saffron cloth, a garland around his neck, and a peacock feather in his hair. In the Gita, Lord Krishna gives only a small hint of his personal abode, Gokula Vrindavan, which is the supermost planet in the spiritual kingdom. A vivid description in the Brahma Samhita, Vedic literature, states that there is nothing superior to the abode of the Supreme Godhead, and that abode is the ultimate destination. When one attains to it, he never returns to the material world. Krishna's supreme abode and Krishna himself are non-different, being the same quality on this earth. Vrindavan, 90 miles southwest of Delhi, is a replica of that supreme Goloka Vrindavan, located in the spiritual sky. When Krishna has descended on this earth, he's sported on that particular tract of land known as Vrindavan in the district of Mathura, India. That's our goal. That's our goal, to go back to Krishna Loka, to be servants of Krishna, to have all of our desires fulfilled. Everything else is just doesn't add up to it. Just doesn't quite, just not fulfilling. That's why it's important to take on devotional service with full heart, full desire. Take on a guru, surrender to a guru. This guru is going to help lead you to Krishna. It's very hard to get to Krishna without a guru. Yes, Prabhu. Maharaj has another statement.
Hello.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, yes, Prabhu. I have one question. If it's okay to raise.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, real quick, Maharaj has a comment.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I have this follow-up question of Maharaj. Like, as Maharaj said that Jivas like end of the annihilation, the end of final annihilation, Jivas go to the belly of Vishnu. So at that time, I have question like because at that time Jiva is alone without covering of shuttle body or gross body. So is it so like Jiva went to the belly of Vishnu, so Jiva got purified fully without any karmas or anything? Yeah. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. One moment.
The answer is no. They don't get purified by that activity or by that annihilation. They just have to stay there in an inanimate type of way. They're existing, but they're not engaged in any activities. They have to wait. And that was the point I was trying to make. That these are long waiting periods. In fact, these waiting periods are longer still because even let's say, if we get to participate in life, so to speak, while Brahma's having his daytime. But while he's having his daytime, we have our sleeping periods as well. So if we sleep 12 hours, that's another half. So we get half of our life is ruined by sleeping during Brahma's night, and another half of the remaining half would be lost when we sleep 12 hours a day. So there's a lot of sleeping and ignorance going on in the material world. And asking Ken one to relay one thing to you that I saw today.
Hare Krishna devotees. Maharaj was wanting to say that ISKCON's first Bhakti Vedanta University is currently under construction, and it's in Vrindavan, the same place where the demon Aghasura was killed by Krishna. So therefore, one can actually go and study at the same place that Aghasura was killed by Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
We're just getting such nice nectar tonight. Text 22. Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is greater than all, is attainable by unalloyed devotion. Although he is present in his abode, he is all-pervading, and everything is situated within him. Purport. It is here clearly stated that the supreme destination from which there is no return is the abode of Krishna, the Supreme Person. The Brahma Samhita describes the supreme abode as Ananda Chinmaya Rasa, a place where everything is full of spiritual bliss. Whatever variegatedness is manifest there is all the quality of blissful spiritual bliss. There's nothing material. All variegatedness is expanded as a spiritual expansion of the Supreme Godhead Himself. For the manifestation, there is totally of the spiritual energy, as explained in chapter 7. As far as this material world is concerned, although the Lord is always in his supreme abode, he is nonetheless all-pervading by his material energy. So by his spiritual and material energies, he is present everywhere, both in the material and in the spiritual universe. Yasyantat Satatnani means that everything is sustained by him, whether it is spiritual or material energy. It's clearly stated here that only by bhakti or devotional service can one enter into Vaikuntha, spiritual planetary system. In all of Vaikunthas, there's only one supreme Godhead, Krishna, who has expanded himself into millions and millions of planetary expansions. These planetary expansions are four-armed, and they preside over the innumerable spiritual planets. They are known by a variety of names. Purusharama, Trivikarma, Keshava, Madhava, Arudara, Harishka, Sankarshana, Paridmana, Shidhara, Vasudev, Damodar, Janardar, Ariana, Vamna, Pamela, etc. These planetary expansions liken unto the leaves of a tree, and the main tree is likened to Krishna. Krishna dwelling in Gokula, Vrindavan, his main tree is likened to Krishna. I'm sorry. Where was I? Tree is likened to Krishna. Krishna dwelling at Gokula, Vrindavan. His supreme abode systematically conducts all affairs of both universes, material and spiritual, without a flaw by power of his all-pervasiveness. Ooh. Wow. Yes, Prabhu. Oh, you're just turning. We're going to move on to text 23. That's a lot to take in there. O best of Bhartas, I shall now explain to you different times at which passing away from this world, one does or does not come back. Report. Unalloyed devotees of the Supreme Lord, who are totally surrendered souls, do not care when they leave their bodies or by what method. They leave everything in Krishna's hands and so easily and happily return to Godhead. But those who are not unalloyed devotees and who depend instead on such methods of spiritual realization as karma yoga, jnana yoga, hatha yoga, etc., must leave the body at a suitable time and thereby be assured whether or not they will return to the world of birth or death. If the yogi is perfect, he can select the time and place for leaving this material world. But if he is not so perfect, then he has to leave at nature's will. The most suitable time to leave the body and not return is being explained by the Lord in these verses. According to Acharya Baladev, Vidya Bhushya Chana. The Sanskrit word kala, used herein, refers to presiding deity of the time. Text 24. Those who know the Supreme Brahma pass away from the world during the influence of the fiery god in the light, in the auspicious moment during the fortnight of the moon and the 6 months when the sun travels in the north. Purport. When fire, light, day, and moon are mentioned, it is to be understood that over all of them there are various presiding deities who make arrangements for the passage of the soul. The time of death, the jiva sets forth on the path to a new life. If one leaves the body at the time designated above, either accidentally or by arrangement, it is possibly for him to attain the impersonal Brahma Yoti. Mystics who are advanced in yoga practices can arrange the time and place to leave the body. Others have no control. If by accident they leave in an auspicious moment, then they will not return to the cycle of birth and death. But if not, then there is even possibility that they will have to return. However, for the pure devotee in Krishna consciousness, there is no fear of returning, whether he leaves the body at an auspicious or inauspicious moment by the accident or arrangement. Once again, it's Krishna consciousness, bhakti yoga. We're preparing for the time of death, because at the time of death, we're wanting to be able to remember Krishna and only Krishna. That's what gets us back to home, back to Godhead. We don't have to, calculate and, when you do astrology and try to figure out when's the exact moment to meditate and, leave at your last outgoing breath. Only really advanced yogis can do that. We just don't have the time in this day and age of Kali to really, you would pretty much have to spend most of your lifetime practicing yoga just to get to that moment and have it well calculated and hope you do it right. But bhakti yoga, beautiful thing about it, if we're always engaged in bhakti yoga, we're chanting our rounds every day, doing 16 rounds a day, performing morning mangalarti, offering our food to Krishna, associating with devotees. If our whole life is revolving around Krishna, then it's going to be very, very easy to remember Krishna at the time of death. But if we're not doing that, if majority of our life is revolving around material things, we're going to have a very hard time remembering him. But the beauty of devotional service, even though if we don't get purified enough, even though if we say we've spent most of our life in devotional service, but at the time of death, we're not thinking of Krishna, still, all the devotional service that we have performed, we keep. That continues on with us. The mere fact that we perform devotional service, that we use the human body, for God realization, we get that fast pass back to human birth again. We don't have to go through the cycle of being born into the lower animal forms. That's the beauty of the devotional service, bhakti yoga, is that it saves you from these hellish conditions. Any last minute questions or comments before we wrap up class? Thank you for participating this evening. Bhagavad Gita ki jai.